do you build a routine that allows for the gym? And I guess the question after that is, how do you protect your fitness from disruptions to that routine?
Sorry, can you clarify the first question? How do you build a routine that allows for the gym? What do you mean by that specifically?
So you've got a busy life. How do you make sure you fit it in?
Oh, you mean like a life routine, not a
Yeah.
gym routine? Oh, that's an easy one. You have to treat training like it's a job. Like, nobody asks, well, how do you build a routine so that you can go to work? You just accept that it's a fact of life that you go to work. Oh, how do you build a routine that lets you go for a shit? Well, it's like, well, you just go for a shit unless you work in a call center. And then you have to
Then you
like
have to
dial
ask.
out and
Yeah.
they'll, yeah, have your poopy time monitored. But other than that, no, it ceases to become a question once you change your view of training from hobby or something you do in your quote unquote spare time, say if you don't particularly enjoy it, you wouldn't necessarily view it as a hobby, to a non negotiable like a job, having a wash, or wiping your backside after you've gone to the toilet. At which point, you just find the time. Now, that's when it becomes interesting because you're finding the time. How much time you will have will obviously differ from how much time I have. And how much time I have, Jess, this differs from how much time you have.
Yeah.
But at that point, but even so, like you accept that you have to do this thing, so you then start looking to solve problems. Okay, so look, I've only got the time and desire to go to the gym, physically go to the gym twice a week, right? Pretty well describes our situation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've only got the time and the desire to go to the gym twice a week, physically go to the gym. We train more than that, obviously, but the gym is only a 2 day a week thing. Okay, fine. Well, I'll start looking around for what's the best way to train twice a week. Well, we know the answer to that is with a full body weightlifting routine based around the core barbell lift, supplemented with a little bit of assistance work here and there done with machines and cables and body weight. That's how we do it. And then you're like, okay, well, what are the most exercises specifically? And then you then drill down even further, isn't it? And
Yeah.
just go from there. Whereas if you're, say, in the situation I was in, well, before I met you, kind of the year before I met you, where I was working the most comfortable corporate job in existence, functionally infinite money compared to the city I was living in and the lifestyle I was living, really low rent and stuff. Well, all of a sudden I was 6 days a week training, sometimes twice a day because, I had all this time to train. And as I view training as a non-negotiable like a job, and I didn't have really any other hobbies. I mean, I did a little bit of Warhammer, but even my Warhammer was limited because I was living in a house share, and the desk where I would paint my models, that would get really dark. There was only like a window. I had like a skylight, and there was only like a 2 hour window where I could paint in the day. So my Warhammer kind of took a back seat. So all I had was the gym. So obviously, okay, well, I'll train a lot then. And then I started looking for ways to train efficiently and effectively with all the time that I had available to me. Has that answered your question?
So I guess for men who um don't have significant other and children in their lives, I guess the biggest issue would be discipline. Is flicking that switch to it's a non-negotiable.
Well, yeah, pretty much. And that's again, it's a question of how much do you want it, right? Like
Mm.
I very much like living in a house and eating food, so I work.
Yeah.
If you very much like not being a fat ass, then you're going to find time to train, aren't you? It's again, I hate the word mindset. It's wanky, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is ultimately there's no beating about the bush. This is how it is, right?
Yeah.
And I don't really have much to say to men and the occasional woman who listens. Hello, singular woman who listens, who cannot have who just don't train. They struggle to maintain a routine for reasons other than kind of not knowing what to do or struggling with the minutiae, or because there's a big difference between like struggling along, training suboptimally, but still trying,
Yeah.
and people who just go, oh, I just can't,
Can't be asked.
yeah, because that's they can't be asked. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
There's discipline
Yeah,
and just not doing
and
it.
if you lack that basic level of discipline,
Yeah.
then I can't really take any of the rest of your concerns seriously. I have nothing to say to you to help you. It's like would you take someone seriously who was like didn't wipe his backside after going to the toilet because he forgot?
Yeah. No,
You know, or people who don't wash before going out for a day of work. And those people do exist, and we're not allowed to criticize them anymore because it's unfair. But yeah,
they're just shoddy people.
they're just shoddy slobs. I
Yeah.
can't take them seriously, and I extend that to people who cannot continue maintain a fitness routine purely because they lack discipline.
Yeah.
Now, again, take pains to say that this does not include people, as I said, who are training suboptimally. There was another group who I was going to say, but I've since it's just come into my mind and out again like a little fairy. So maybe we'll need to revisit. But no, yeah, there's just nothing that until that person is prepared to make that shift to become a better person, then there's actually nothing that
And
I can do to help.
anecdotally, I've had a shifts, haven't I?
Mm.
I lost my ankle and then got fat, pushed my fat. And at that point, I realised I didn't like the slob that I'd become, and the discomfort of exercise overweighed the discomfort of the weight.
Well, for me, it was childhood bullying. It was when I was at college specifically because I was always fat. Like, anyone remember the film Night Flubber from the 90s? That was my
Yeah,
nickname when I was at junior school when I was like 9 or 10. Horrendously bullied because back in the 90s, not every other child was fat. So I was the fat child. And I was bullied terribly for it through junior school and through secondary school, all the while being told by the adults in my life that it was everyone else's problem. There was nothing wrong with me, which is not true. Yes, the physical and emotional bullying was unacceptable, but
you
to
were
to
still fat.
to point out the objective reality that Philip, yes, you are fat and this is bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if someone had said that to me, and like an adult had said it to me sensibly, then maybe I wouldn't have the struggles that I still have to this day. Because as we know, or that we now know because there's been research that's come out that shows that your total number of body fat cells in your body is set broadly in your teenage years. So obviously, I had a lot of them in my teenage years, which means
You've
they're
still
still
got
there.
them.
They're like empty water balloons now, but they're still there, ready and waiting to fill up.
So your
Yeah,
propensity to put on weight is
my
yeah.
athletic ceiling is also very low because the only sport I played as a teenager was sitting on a horse and riding a horse. I played hockey as well, but I chose to go in goal, which involves standing around doing fuck all. If you're familiar with a hockey pitch, or if you're not familiar rather with a hockey pitch, the the goalie's box kind of area is very small. You don't have much need to move more than, maybe 100, 200 meters over the course of a
Were those
game.
kids wearing so much kit that you could barely waddle anyway? Did
Well,
you get to wear all
yeah,
the
I
padded
wore all the
kit?
padded kit, but no,
Yeah.
it's quite easy to move. It's not as
Okay.
heavy as you think.
It's quite cumbersome though. You wouldn't go running
No, you
regularly.
can't run in it because of the size of the shin pads and
Yeah.
stuff. But the point is there's not a lot of movement involved. So my athletic ceiling is incredibly low, which makes losing weight even harder. You know, it's taken me probably a year to 18 months at this point of really fucking diligent, disciplined, hard work to be able to reliably and predictably run a 5K in a decent time. And this is
And
this.
actually sprint.
Yeah, and this is despite training in the gym and achieving quite a lot of good stuff in the gym, walking regularly and all that other stuff. But something as simple as running a short distance did not come easily to me because as a young person, I didn't train and I ate bad stuff and there was no one there to tell me. And it was only when I got to college and was becoming a man, 17, 18 years old, there were some lads in the year above who kind of looked how I wanted to look, kind of thin, nice chest and arms, because obviously that's all anyone lifts for those days because they've been lifting some weights and stuff. And they took I wanted nothing more than to be accepted by those boys, and they took the piss as well. But then there was one of them who just turned around to me and said, "If you don't want to be fat, lift some weights." And it was
Love
in the
that.
course of bullying. But the point is, and then I did, and then that's the rest, as they say, is history. It took me a little while to get it all sorted, but yeah, I don't even know what the question was.
It was about
Trigger
wanting it.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to want it. And
So,
hang on, you could say that I'm traumatized and you shouldn't listen to me because I'm traumatized by it all, and I've got a very kind of like an ex-smoker style attitude towards fitness, and that would be true of how I was up till about the age of 26, 27. It was only particularly having the gym actually when I owned the gym that really changed my attitude to be a bit more compassionate towards people who don't. Hasn't changed my my view, and I stand by what I said earlier about people who say they lack the discipline to train. Oh, I remember the fairy thought.
Mm.
The fairies come back.
Okay.
The fairy was,
Go crazy
I
for it.
also don't mind people who are happy to say I don't train and I don't want to train.
Yeah.
They're not included in the issue either. And as I say, I have more compassion for people who either don't train because they don't want to, and actually, yeah, fair enough, I respect that,
Mm.
or people who are training suboptimally.
Trying.
Yeah, trying. So these are the people that were coming to my gym. There were people who'd not trained at all because had, you know, no real idea of what they were doing, and that made them really struggle. So they had a go, but then kind of quit because they lacked a system they could use that was simple and unobtrusive, right? And then, yeah, as I say, I softened a lot towards people who's like, yeah, do you know what? I just don't want to do it because actually, like, yeah, fair enough. You're not bullshitting me or anyone else. And when confronted with the consequences of not exercising, illness, disease, disability, early death, they're just like, yeah, I don't care. I want to play World of Warcraft. Fine. But no, my stance, as I say, my stance towards people who claim to want this,
Mm.
they want to be strong and in shape, and they can't.
Do nothing.
They just do the minimal and can't be bothered, and I struggle to stick to a routine. It's like there's there's millions upon millions of words that have been written about this that you can get for free on the internet. YouTube videos, free programs. You can buy a basic training program PDF for like £3 or £4.
That is a thought. I think there's obviously a lot of training programs, and sticking to the routine when you're in the gym is one thing, but what we're talking about here is getting to the gym, carving out that time, and that is a different ball game that I think a lot of
No, it's
people.
not. It's really not. Jess, it's not. If you had to get your job right, so when I was in ambulance service and I had to get to my job. Yeah, so I start at 7 o'clock in the morning. A typical day shift would start at 7 o'clock in the morning. My base stations were always at least a 45-minute drive away. I chose to not live in the town that I served because just not that it made a difference because you go everywhere on your patch, but I just liked that separation from work, right? Still managed to turn up at work on time. Just meant I had to get up a bit earlier.
So I totally I get that. I think what I'm saying is that I think many people don't flick this switch.
Yeah, because they don't want to because they're lazy. I'm sorry, Jess. That I'm coming down quite hard on this.
Mhm.
This whole they don't want to. They know, right? Okay, so right, you got to fit it in, and you say you start work at 8. Let's steel man this, right?
Mhm.
You start work. You got an office job. And you start work at 8 in the morning, not 9, 8, and you finish at finish at 5, let's say, because you got you're not working for one of these right on LinkedIn employers that allegedly lets people pick their own hours and do like 2 days a week or whatever for £100,000 a year. Let's pretend you've got a real employer that in the
Mhm.
real world, and you're finishing at 5, right? And works an hour away either side. So you need to leave for work at kind of between 6:30 and 7, and the earliest you're going to get back is between 6 and 7, right? That still leaves a tremendous amount of time to train. All right, okay, fine. Oh, you got kids. You got kids. Have a partner, wife, husband if you're a woman. Why not lean on them to look after the kids? How we do it. You work a proper job with a proper employer. Yeah, you work at home and stuff, but you still have to go to the office some days. And we just alternate. We figure it out. We make the time.
I was going to say the other challenge is making your partner make the switch where they don't see your fitness as a hobby.
Yeah, but you can't
And
make them do that. They will do that in response to seeing you. You didn't make that switch with me. I didn't make you see fitness as anything. You just saw the little things very early on in our relationship where you would want to go and see friends of a weekday evening, and I'd say, okay, yeah, off you go. Oh, are you not coming with me? No, because I have to. I'm training. And it wasn't like being a dick move. I wasn't being a dick about it. It was just,
next
oh,
Thursday, Jess, I go to the gym.
and to be fair, I think maybe you asked me something like that maybe once, because you didn't really feel the need to ask it because you saw how seriously I'd take it. You saw that when I went away to train in Norwich, I did those weeks away training in
Yes.
Norwich. We lived in Bournemouth at the time. The first thing I did, and I told you about, I rang you actually on the first night of the course. was I'd researched the gym and I rang you as I was walking to the other side of Norwich, a town that I'd never been before. I'd never been, don't ever really want to go to again, to go to this gym and train.
Yeah.
While everyone else on the course was going off to the pub or whatever, I was, and I rang you to say, oh, and just not to tell you, oh, look at me, Jess, I'm going to the gym. I was just like, oh, I'm just walking to the gym. Do you want to talk? Because I miss you, and that's, and you saw that, and you saw me do that. So I don't need to convince you of it being a non-negotiable because it's self-evidently a non-negotiable. And then obviously you were like, oh, yeah, I see. And then started doing it yourself and started viewing it the same way yourself. I remember when you were working mega hours as an estate agent. I remember that. And I remember you used to get into the gym at like,
Half
what,
six.
6:30 in the morning yeah, in Bournemouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6:30 in the morning.
And eat breakfast at work.
Yeah, you ate breakfast at work. And yes, your training was pants at the time because you still had some other transitions to make around, uh,
Perceived effort.
perceived effort and all that other stuff. But again, those are things that I have no issue helping people with. No issue helping with because you were doing the needful, to use that phrase that I've decided I
Yeah.
really like. Yeah, you were doing the needful. You were getting your ass into the gym.
Yeah.
You were doing what you believed to be your best
Yeah.
and not making any complaints about it, making the time. You trained through all of your pregnancies
Yeah.
because you
And the newborn phases.
and the newborn. Yeah, your bloody health visitor coming.
Told
Oh,
me off for walking
yeah,
after Marcus.
yeah. Like because it's part and it's a non-negotiable part of your life because you see it like a job. So all of this building a routine to manage going to the gym, having the discipline to maintain it. As I say, it's not really an issue that I don't actually believe this is an issue that any fitness professional with integrity can actually help people with. They'll say they can, and they'll sell like I don't know PTs in the gym. They'll sell accountability. That's one of their main selling points. They
Yeah.
may usually they'll explicitly reference it in their marketing material. If they've written something, they'll usually make a passing mention to keep you accountable and stuff. It's a big thing, and people are paying. But that's not that's not a solution that a coach can help someone with because that has to come entirely from the person themselves. And if the only reason you're going to go to the gym and you're going to stay up to the gym is because you're paying someone, £30 a session, £40, £57 a session,
Exactly.
it's not going to last. That's the thing. It will
Yeah.
last for the duration that you pay the person, and
Yeah.
then slowly you'll start to fall away,
Yeah.
and then you'll lose the results. And maybe because you got great results with Jim or Jane last time, you then go back and pay them again. They take your money again.
Gym at the gym.
Yeah, Jim at the gym or Jane
Yeah.
PT, and they'll happily take your money again.
Yeah.
And then same thing will happen. You'll pay them 40, £50 a time. 'Cause that's the only way that you'll turn up. And I'm not saying every single time at the gym, but that money coming out
Yeah.
is the thing that and then yeah, eventually they stop paying, and then they fall away again. It just happens. I've been around this for so long. I see it. I see it everywhere.
What you said about wanting it enough, there's a lot of truth in that. Like I was talking to some girls at work the other day, and they said, "Oh, did you become a fitness fanatic?" Because I told them I'd lost about 4 stone. I go to the gym twice a week, and I probably run twice a week. Does that? I don't think that makes me a fitness fanatic. I said, what changed is I just don't want to live in pain anymore. I just want to be comfortable. I want to walk comfortably, wear comfortable clothes, and I just like that more than sitting on my ass first thing of
Yeah,
a morning than going out walking.
yeah, yeah. I like knowing that I'm doing everything within my power to see my kids grow up, get married, and have grandchildren and potentially great grandchildren, and also play a full and active part in their life until I drop. That's the thing, and that doesn't guarantee that's going to happen. With my family history of cardiovascular disease, I could drop at any time. Yeah, I could have a heart attack in my 40s or 50s. But the point is that even if you don't get that outcome, or I could have a stroke and end up disabled. Even if you don't get that outcome, the fact is it's still a moral good to have done the thing to stave off the outcome. A lot of people I know it. The people on LinkedIn who hate me would probably, if I had a stroke in my 40s, end up dribbling in a wheelchair and you have to wipe my bum. Talking about wiping bums a lot. say, aren't we? But we, they probably look at me and go, "Oh, all that training you did, didn't it
Do
wasn't
do
worth, didn't do him any good, did it?" It's like, well, no, because actually, what you don't understand, you degenerate, is doing the action is the moral good, not the result you get, and doing the action without an expectation of a payoff is actually the true moral good.
So it's
Indeed, Jens.
something similar in my world as a currently pregnant person. All of the rhetoric from healthcare professionals and the internet and everything is do what you need to do to survive. It's all about me. Like I feel sick all the time. It's like, well, eat crackers, eat ginger biscuits, eat shit, whatever you want to eat to
Have an abortion.
yeah, whatever you need to help you get through it. And did that for about a week, and then I got constipation and felt like death and bloating and decided that actually it didn't make me feel good.
Did you decide, or did I ask you a pointed question?
Stop this with your truth telling.
Sorry,
Um,
very misogynistic of me to give a woman advice.
Still my thunder.
Mm.
But even beyond that, like now I just eat the healthy food that I was eating before, because whether the pregnancy goes to full term or not, I'm just doing the right thing by me and the baby.
I think also eating that crap is. Are we talking about diet? Bloody hell. Even so, eating that crap, it makes you feel bad, doesn't it?
Oh, it does make you feel worse. And but not doing the exercise makes you feel worse as well.
Yeah.
Like walking
Hmm.
and going to the
The
gym.
key is not being a dumbass and trying to do too much,
Yeah.
because you get people. I've mentioned this before on previous podcasts, haven't we? About the hardcore mindset and people who ascribe virtue to smashing yourself into the floor, no matter how bad it makes you feel. Yeah, those people are stupid. You really don't want to listen to those people.
Like take for example Tuesday this week,
Hmm.
I pushed it a little bit hard at the gym and had DOMS for 3 days and was
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that was a
this
bit
is me.
silly.
Yeah, that was probably a bit hard.
Hmm.
Like I'm struggling anyway with the
Hmm.
nausea and the fatigue. Like let's not add that on top of it. So
Yeah.
my Friday workout was a bit more
And
sensible.
I had a similar thing, didn't I? And I trained Saturday instead of Friday
Yeah.
because I'm not an idiot, and I knew that if I pushed through, because I was having, at the moment I'm having the early warning signs of something going pop, and I know that if I continue grinding, I'm going to break something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm, instead of being an idiot, what I do is I took an extra, well, what, like 14 hours of rest would have been, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
because it was Friday night
Friday
anyway.
night versus Saturday
So
morning, and just dialed back the intensity in the gym a little bit. Still, this isn't necessarily an easy thing to do. I don't want people to go away with the idea this is an easy thing to do. Actually, finding that fine line and balance, and that is actually where speaking with someone like me
yeah.
would be useful. Pitch, but the reality, you can do it. You can figure it out on your own. It just takes time. It does take time to figure out where the line is, because you can go too far the other way and you can end up not training hard enough for a very long period of time, and then you lose a load of progress. It's one of the prime causes of people actually spinning their wheels, is this taking it easy for too long. And then when you combine that with rest weeks, which, like, by rest weeks I mean like weeks off the gym, which everyone who's got a brain in their head should be taking far more frequently than they believe they should, they otherwise might know, you can end up easily losing 2-3 months of the year of training. But anyway, I think that's enough now, because you're doing this as a wonderful favour to me, aren't you?
Yes.
So thank you, because I was supposed to record this one by myself today, but I couldn't figure out what to talk about, so I begged Jess to have a conversation with me, which she said yes to, and she's also made me scones and is going to hand whip some cream to go with them, some double cream, because they don't have clotted cream. So Jess is going to hand whip me regular cream, and I'm going to have jam scones with cream
Yeah,
later.
I'm so
Yeah, you're also pregnant with my child again.
I'm working full time job.
I'm
Very
working a full
busy.
time job. She is great. She is great. I am a very lucky man. And on that note, if you don't have my report, get it. The link is on screen, philtimon.co.uk/report. You have to subscribe to my daily emails to get it. So if you're the sort of person that finds getting emails about a topic you profess to care about very stressful, then your option is either to not read the report or just unsubscribe immediately from the emails. And yes, that is all I have to say for today. So thank you, Jess. And I'll do the next podcast at some point in the week next week.